Thank you, Mrs. Chair. I have a former colleague out there, Jeff Earlywine. He used to be the city administrator of Fort Thomas after I was city manager of Covington. Now he's has a similar role in Boone County. I want to make him feel welcome on this occasion. If you can join
Jeff,
me.
please stand and be recognized. About a year ago, Senator Schickel's constituent, Cindy Rich, of the PVA in Boone County, approached Senator Schickel and I about House Bill 44 and some concerns that she has with it. Senator Schickel, as vice chairman of the State and Local Government Committee in the House, in the Senate, excuse me, and I have been keeping in touch with Cindy on this issue and invited her down to address the issue today that we're going to have on the agenda. So I'm going to recognize Senator Schickel to introduce our guests as well as the topic she'll be discussing. Senator Schickel.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Cindy Rich is a certified public accountant and has had her accounting, has been for 5 years. She was elected Boone County PVA in 2006, and she is running unopposed in the general election. As PVA, she has discovered how tax rates are calculated and has taken a personal interest in attempting to make sure that the public is not being misled. She firmly believes that some districts are able to take more than the 4% allowable revenues increased under House Bill 44, which she believes was not the original intent of the bill. She recently wrote for an Attorney General's opinion questioning the interpretation of the statute and calculation, with the answer affirming the calculation. So she decided to educate taxpayers in the hopes to get the legislature aware of the problem and get it changed through the legislative process. Cindy and I and others have talked a lot about this issue the last several years, and she is passionate and knowledgeable in her evaluation of House Bill 44. So I'm looking very forward to her testimony today, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. I think it's going to be very interesting. She also has with her, seated at the table, Attorney Rick Brueggemann, who's also a constituent of mine, I assume, Rick, you'll be testifying today also. So I'd like to welcome you to the committee. We have a scheduled lunch tomorrow, I believe, and so welcome you to the committee. And I'd also be remiss if I didn't point out that Cindy's father is seated directly behind her. He's also a constituent of mine, and he's the guy with a very proud smile on his face. So members, so you can go ahead and proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Before we turn it over to our speakers today, I'd like to note, members, if you look in your packets, you will have an LRC document regarding House Bill 44 that you may wish to review. Also a copy of the Attorney General opinion from June 14th, which Ms. Rich asked for, and a list of various compensating rates, substitute rates, etc. for the counties in the Commonwealth. You may want to review that at a later date for further information. I should also note that in the audience today, members take note that we have Jeff Kelly, who's the Webster County PVA. Mr. Kelly, could you please stand? Thank you for coming today. We have Dana Mayton, Deputy Attorney General from the AG's office. Dana, please stand so we can see where. Thank you, Dana. We have Andrew Hartley, Staff Attorney from the Department of Local Government. Mr. Hartley? Okay, very good. Mr. Hartley, did Lindsay Womack join you?
She's not here, no.
Okay, thank you. And also from the Kentucky Department of Revenue, Mr. David Gordon. Mr. Gordon does not appear to be here. So I wanted, we invited these other folks who are intimately knowledgeable of House Bill 44 in case any questions need to be posed to them. So, Ms. Rich, Mr. Brueggemann, if you would please introduce yourselves for the record, and the floor is now yours.
Cindy Rich, Boone County PVA.
My name's Rick Brueggemann. I'm an attorney with Hemmer DeFrank in Fort Mitchell, and I'm here in a representative capacity on behalf of Ms. Rich.
Please proceed.
Thank you very much, committee. I really appreciate it. Senator Thayer, I'm honored to be here and appreciate the chance to speak to each of you about this. I am concerned about this as a citizen. This is not in any indicative of my capacity as property valuation administrator. I did discover it through being the PVA. However, I am here because I am passionate as an individual, as a concerned taxpayer, and as a citizen. The concern I have is with House Bill 44. I believe that when House Bill 44 was originally passed, that its intent was to limit revenue to 4%. I do not believe this intent is being fully carried out, and I'm not sure that, I know that taxpayers in their capacity are not aware of it, and I'd like to just walk you through some of it. You all may know about it, you may be familiar with it, but I'm going to start kind of from the beginning. It's not to say that all the districts are doing it. It's clearly that they have the ability to raise in more than 4% revenue of last year. Call it 4%. They have the ability to take in 6% more revenue than last year and call it no increase in revenue. So I believe that it's misleading, and I just want to walk that through you, and I appreciate your time.
Ms. Rich, it would actually work better for our sound system if you were seated, because see that microphone there? We need to pick you up to have you on the record.
All right.
For all posterity.
I'm much more of a stander, but I'll try.
And we appreciate that. It looks like you've been in the courtroom as a lawyer or something.
No, I gave that up.
All right. Thank you. Please proceed.
House Bill 44 was passed by the 1979 General Assembly. Some of you may have been here during that time and are probably much more knowledgeable about it than I am. Again, like I said, the original intent was to prevent tax districts from raising tax revenue, not rates, from real property more than 4%. This is a common misconception among many of your taxpayers and voters, that they have the conception that if the rates don't go up, that taxes don't go up. And that's not necessarily the case. When the Department of Local Government figures the tax rate, they actually take the revenue and divide it by the assessments. So they say, how much revenue do we want this year? What happened to our assessments? Did they go up or did they go down? And they calculate the rate very last. So taxpayers say, okay, if my rate stays the same, my taxes didn't go up. If my rate goes up, then my taxes went up. If my rate goes down, the taxes went down. And that's not really a very fair description of what's actually happening, and it's very hard for people to understand. Then I get to be the bad guy because I raised the property values, and so it's my fault that the taxes went up. So I do have a little bit of a vested interest in this. But the goal was that the tax revenue should not go up more than 4%. No matter what the assessments did, the revenue.
Well, first of all, it would not surprise you probably to know that I was here in 1979. Some would say I was here in 1900. That goes back a little far. I've heard your explanation, and it appears to me, and quite frankly, I didn't study this to refresh my memory as much as I probably should have before the meeting. I didn't get a chance to do that. I've quickly tried to read the statute here this morning as I've been listening to you. It appears to me that the problem may well be a misinterpretation of the statute by the Office of Goal, because the way you've calculated it, I believe, is an incorrect calculation and interpretation of the statute.